Joshua chapter 11, Holman Christian Standard Bible. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard this news, he sent a message to Joab, king of Madon, the kings of Shimron and Akshaph, and the kings of the north in the hill country, the Arabah, south of Kinnereth, the Judean foothills, the slopes of Dor to the west, the Canaanites to the east and west, the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites living in the hill country, and the Hivites at the foot of Hermon in the land of Mizpah. They all went out with their armies, a multitude as numerous as the sand on the seashore, along with a vast number of horses and chariots. And all these kings joined forces. They came together and camped at the waters of Merom to attack Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for at this time tomorrow I will cause all of them to be killed before Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn up their chariots." So Joshua and his whole military force surprised them at the waters of Merom and attacked them. The Lord handed them over to Israel, and they struck them down, pursuing them as far as the great Sidon and Misrephoth-Naim, and to the east as far as the valley of Mizpeh. They struck them down, leaving no survivors. Joshua treated them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned up their chariots. At that time, Joshua turned back, captured Hazor, and struck down its king with the sword, because Hazor had formerly been the leader of all these kingdoms. They struck down everyone with it with the sword, completely destroying them. He left no one alive. Then he burned down Hazor. Joshua captured all these kings and their cities and struck them down with the sword. He completely destroyed them as Moses, the Lord's servant, had commanded. However, Israel did not burn any of the cities that stood on their mounds except for Hazor, which Joshua burned. The Israelites plundered all the spoils and cattle of these cities for themselves, but they struck down every person with the sword until they annihilated them, leaving no one alive. Just as the Lord had commanded his servant Moses, his servant Moses commanded Joshua. This is what Joshua did, leaving nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua took all this land, the hill country, the Negev, all the lands of Goshen, the foothills, the Arabah, and the hill country of Israel with its foothills, from Mount Halak, which ascends to Seir, as far as Baal Gad, in the valley of Lebanon, at the foot of Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and struck them down, putting them to death. Joshua waged war with all these kings for a long time. No city made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites who inhabited Gibeon. All of them were taken to battle. For it was the Lord's intention to harden their hearts that they would engage Israel in battle, be completely destroyed without mercy, and be annihilated, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. At that time, Joshua proceeded to exterminate the Anakim from the hill country, Hebron, Debir, Anab, and all the hill country of Judah and Israel. Joshua completely destroyed them with their cities. No Anakim were left in the land of the Israelites, except for some remaining in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. So Joshua took the entire land in keeping with all that the Lord had told Moses. Joshua then gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to the tribal allotments. After this, the land had rest from war.